Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to show a great what we call Holy Grail trade setup that's currently unfolding on the DAX this morning, and this morning is September the 28th. So I just want to go through this with you and show you the steps we use for the Holy Grail trade setup and show you how this could have been uncovered with the software. First and foremost, we always start with the larger degree trend. So if I scroll back to before today even opened, this was using data from yesterday. If we go to the prior pivot, which was here, remember we're not actually looking at the automatic setups here, we're just looking at the pivots. So I'll hover over this pivot, right mouse click, and you can see here's our decision point target. This is an area of resistance, and as you can see it's on the chart before the market even got there. If we scroll forward, can we see how this morning the market came up, hit that area of resistance, and has now declined sharply. But the point being is that this area of larger degree resistance on the 15-minute chart was there on your chart in advance, and had you prepared for this level in advance. Let's now draw a rectangle around this, so I want to move down to the shorter time frame chart. In this case we had to go down to a 2-minute chart to get the setup. The setup can either arrive on 3, 5, 2-minute charts. The concept is all the same. So right, I want to go through the general principle here. First and foremost, this is the high as defined on the larger degree 15-minute chart. So this is what defines our larger degree high. In other words, this is an important pivot here and our starting point for the Elliott wave sequence. We then look for the initial move off this major high, which in this case is initial decline. You can see the market comes down here. We're then looking for initial correction into a high ready for a short trade. The reason we do this is because this is a wave 1 in Elliott wave terms. This would be a wave 2. So if I put our Elliott wave on, you can see we actually labelled 1 or A or 2 or B. But because we know this is coming off a major high, we know this is in fact a wave 2, not a B. So in Elliott wave terms, once a wave 2 is complete, we're then looking for a strong wave 3 type decline. So I'll just clear that off. If we now put our analysis on here, our standard MTPredictor analysis, you can see here's our trade set up. And again, the key point here is that the initial correction here, which is into wave 2, unfolds as an ABC. In Elliott wave terms, this is the most common place where an ABC correction can unfold. Standard MTPredictor trade setup here into the first target. However, with the Holy Grail trade setup, we don't use the first target because we know this is a wave 2. We're actually aiming for the typical wave 3 WPT because we're anticipating a strong wave 3 type decline. And if we put the analysis on now down into this typical wave 3 target, you can see that the market has indeed reached this level very nicely. And this actually shows the key point to why I like these Holy Grail trade setups so much, is because the wave 2 is the end of a correction that gets you in just before the strongest and longest Elliott wave pattern in a completed 5-wave sequence, which is the wave 3, which allows you to come in with the smallest controlled risk for the largest potential profit. Remember, we use correct position sizing to vary our number of lots, contracts or shares to keep our initial risk small and under control. But you can see the beauty of this, because these moves are big, the profits are large in relation to the initial risk. Here, even at the first target, the profit would be approximately 7.7 times greater than the initial risk. So as you can see, this is why this is my favourite trade setup in MTPredictor, and it's actually why the MTPredictor routines were designed in the very first place. But why is this so unique to MTPredictor? Well, in Elliott wave terms, or the mistake that lots of other Elliott wave gurus make, is they try and fit all these patterns in with each other, and as such they make it very hard to identify what we consider as an important high or low, in other words where the sequence starts. And this is why MTPredictor is so good, is because we use our Elliott wave patterns in isolation, then we use the higher time frame to get our larger degree support or resistance. So this is why we started with the 15-minute chart. We put our decision point on there to give our large degree resistance in this case. Once we identified that as large degree resistance, again that was on the chart in advance, so you were prepared for this setup in advance. The trade setup then became a simple matter of waiting till we get an initial move off that major high. That we then assume is wave 1. We then simply look for the correction, as we have here, into an either TS1, TS3 or TS4 MTPredictor trade setup. That defines our ABC wave 2. We then take our standard analysis, however we actually amend this by going to our typical wave 3 WPT target first, and as you can see that gives us our large profit potential in relation to our initial risk. So I thought this was a good example to go through in detail because it shows all the main criteria of the Holy Grail trade setup, which is first and foremost identifying a major pivot, and for this we use the higher time frame, then how we look for our normal MTPredictor trade setups, but we actually amend the target to go to the typical wave 3 WBC. And as you can see, the result this morning on the DAX has been an absolutely lovely trade where the DAX declined sharply and has just reached this target here. And again, the important point is that the profit here is very, very large in relation to the small initial risk. And that's why these Holy Grail trade setups are so good, because in my opinion they are some of the best trade setups you can consider, because the profits are some of the largest you can make in relation to the initial risks. Traders have a choice here whether just to come out at this level or simply trail above the bar highs, or you can use the ATR stop, which is just down here at the moment, to trail this position. So this position, because it's live at the moment, could well carry on and amass more profits. But I just wanted to show you this at even the initial target where the potential profit is approximately 7.7 or 7.8 times the initial risk. So that, I'm hoping, is a great example for you guys to follow and show how MTPredictor can be used to find what I have called the Holy Grail trade setup, which in my opinion is one of the best trade setups you can do using the MTPredictor routines.